Hello, good evening, viewers, and welcome once again to Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About is a real understanding of social issues that bothers us as Christians. You are welcome to this week's edition. Today, we are discussing the importance of healthy living, defining lifestyles as medicine. Joining us today, we have a special guest in the person of Dr. Emmanuel Asase. He's a lecturer in fitness and lifestyle medicine at the University of Ghana, and he is going to help us delve into this topic. My name is Edinam Ejesika, and I will be your host for today. Remember that we are streaming live on all our social media platforms. Find Trinity United Church on both YouTube and Facebook. You can send in your comments and your questions in the comment section on our social media platforms. And also remember that you can reach us on our WhatsApp number, which is 0501 579 996. We would love to hear from you. Hello, Dr. Asase, and welcome to Let's Talk About.
Hello, it's Dinam, right?
Yeah, Dinam.
Okay.
So today we are going to talk about lifestyle as medicine. And so to start off, I would like for you to define what it means when somebody says lifestyle as medicine.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So lifestyle as medicine is a non-pharmacological and non-surgical approach we use to, most importantly, either combat or prevent non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and some cancers.
Okay, so you used about two technical words. And so I want to believe that all you mean is that
we don't take medicine.
Good.
And we don't go to the thing, what do you call it, for surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just using our lifestyle to stay healthy.
To stay healthy, yeah.
Okay. So assuming that I wake up today, I do not feel any pain and I don't have a fever, can I just declare that I am healthy?
Not necessarily, right? It takes a lot when we talk about health.
Okay.
So health is what? A complete state of what? Physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of what? Infirmity.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what that would mean is that I could not be suffering from a fever, but maybe I'm emotionally unstable, and so I'm not healthy.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so our society seems to focus more on the physical health being, or like I said, my stomach is aching, my head is aching, and so most of the time we neglect the emotional part, stress, and all other factors that can actually leave us unhealthy. So to start off, before going to the physical aspect, I would want us to speak a little bit about the emotional aspect. So of late, we say that a lot of our lifestyles makes us very stressed, especially the youth and those who are in the working class. What are some of the factors that lead to the sudden breakdown of, especially of the youth? We hear people, I just woke up and I just fell and they rush the person to the hospital, the person is gone. What do you think is causing this?
I think they are multifactorial.
Okay.
We live in a society where the conditions in general are not favorable. It could be economical.
Okay.
It could be family problems. It could be a myriad of issues.
Okay.
So I would not be able to, it depends on the individual.
Okay.
So many things can lead to stress, right? So many things, losing a loved one.
Okay.
Even being inactive.
Okay.
Can also lead to
That's true.
Stress. Not getting what you want in life can also lead to stress. So stresses are so many, I can't even number them over here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And so what would be some of the activities that one can do, for example, to reduce stress?
So this question is more psychological, right? It's more into the psychological domain, but I'll just try to address it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said what factors?
Yeah.
Can you ask the question again?
Okay, so what factors, or let me put it this way. What are some of the things that we can do to reduce stress?
To reduce stress, okay.
Yes.
So in my area, I'll just say First of all, we try and identify what is stressing us.
Okay.
Because if you don't know what exactly is stressing you, then you wouldn't get a solution to it.
Okay.
So we can even look at what we eat. We can look at if we are getting enough sleep to begin with. If we are not exercising enough, if we are sedentary, that can also lead to what? Stress.
All right. Okay.
And I think, as I said earlier, financial problems can also lead to stress.
Yeah, I think the financial problems has been probably one of the highest reasons for most people's stress of late.
Marital issues.
Yeah, that's also that's also there.
Relationship issues. Yeah, so we have so many reasons one can stress out. Yeah.
Okay, so most for the current generation, our lifestyles, I could imagine that some years ago when many people did not have the opportunity to own vehicles, they had to walk, which was a good form of exercise. And so even leaving your home to the bus stop to pick, a public transport, there was, a little bit of movement of the body. But as you may know, most people have been able, so as they probably get better in, I don't know if I should call it they are getting wealthier. And so everybody has a vehicle now. And it's become very common for people to just move from their homes, just sit in the vehicle through traffic, get to the office and back. How is this lifestyle actually going to affect our health?
Okay, thanks for the question. We as human beings started as what? Hunter-gatherers. We had to do what? Walk miles to hunt for what? Food. We had to walk miles to get even water. We had to do so much being what? Physically active.
Okay.
But with time, with the Industrial Revolution, we gradually moved on to these states where we had so many things in abundance. Unfortunately, we started eating food that are not exactly prescribed or required for the human body. Then we also started becoming sedentary because we had everything around us. What can we do to minimize that? I think when you look around these days, I think we are gradually getting back to where we used to, or what we used to do.
Okay.
In this case, it's not like how it used to do in the past.
Okay.
We are now finding ways and means of catching up. So we wake up in the morning, and the first thing we want to do is to do what? To maybe, if you live in a place where it's walkable, you just take it upon yourself to walk, let's say, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you come back, you take a shower, then that is okay. You also look at what exactly you eat, because what we eat also has an effect, not just on the physical, but can also reflect on your emotional well-being. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay. So that leads me to a question on obesity. We realize that it is becoming, even from childhood, we have a lot of even children as young as 10 years who are probably obese based on factors that I would want you to share with the viewers. What is causing this?
So, as you said earlier, we have moved. We're now in a nutrition transition stage.
Okay.
We have moved from our traditional diets to the Westernized diets, which are very high in calories, yet very little in terms of nutrients. So this is causes. This is one of the causes.
Okay.
There can also be other causes such as hormonal imbalances.
Okay.
That can also, especially with the children. And we also have intergenerational effects. What you may have done is going to have an effect on your child.
Okay.
So these are some of the effects. When it comes to obesity, literally, we eat and we expend energy.
Yeah.
So if you are going by it that way, when you eat more than you expend, then usually it will lead to you becoming obese. If you expend more than you eat, or more than you ingest, then that will also lead to you having a controlled body shape. Always taking into consideration other factors, as I mentioned earlier. That could be hormonal as well.
Okay. And so if somebody is watching us now and the person is already obese, Beyond exercising, is there any other lifestyle changes that you advise the person to?
As we said earlier, what you eat is also very important.
Okay.
Some people will say it's even more than 50% when it comes to managing obesity.
Okay.
So watch what you eat, and that would also mean that you watch the quality of food you eat
Okay.
than the quantity.
Okay.
Most people eat more than what the body needs. So one of the biggest problems we have in our homes is that we get served what? The portion sizes are very, very what? Huge. So your body only needs a required amount. So that is in terms of the quantity. Then in terms of the quality too, are you eating what? A balanced diet? Are you making sure you get your macronutrients and your micronutrients? Are you eating enough carbohydrates or in excess? Are you eating the required protein and the required fat and also the vitamins? Once you get these things in check, then I'm sure you are going to have other things. Not necessarily an athletic body, but a body that a body that, I mean, you'll be proud of. Let me put it that way. If you want to go a bit further and you want to add exercise, and let's not rule out one thing. Exercise is not just for body weight control. It has what? Cardioprotective effect.
Okay.
So irrespective of whether you are exercising and you are losing weight or not, I think you still have to continue exercising. You still have to continue because it has immense effect in terms of what your cardiorespiratory health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So another chronic disease, if I should put it that way, is diabetes. Is there any, I know that with obesity, we always talk about, oh, you're not exercising, you're not exercising. When we talk of diabetes, for example, is there any correlation, once again, between our lifestyle and getting diabetes?
Yes, it's a definite yes. Diabetes, when we say diabetes, you know, we have the type 1 diabetes and we have the type 2 diabetes. First of all, let's put it in perspective. The type 2 diabetes is as a result of what? People's what? Lifestyle.
Okay.
And definitely, you have control in terms of what you do. So what you eat and exercise. So what happens? Diabetes is merely what? Your body's inability to do what? Control what? Blood glucose. Yes. When you are exercising, what do you use?
Energy?
Energy. Glucose in the form of what? Glucose. So once you are exercising, you are helping what? The pancreas, which on the other hand will be producing what? Insulin to regulate what? Blood sugar. So once you are exercising, you have that one in control. You have your body weight as well in check.
Okay.
So that is in terms of what? Energy expenditure.
Okay.
Having an effect on your glucose control. We also have in terms of what you eat. If you eat carbohydrate in excess, what happens? Your body will have to fight to do what? To control it.
Yeah.
So we have foods that are, in terms of glycemic index, are very high. So you have to watch which food you eat. If you are eating the starchy food, you have to make sure you cut it down. Make sure there's enough fiber. Make sure you have enough fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
By doing this, you are already healing. You are already preventing yourself from getting into that disequilibrium in the system.
Okay. So, you know, when you were speaking, I was just thinking about the fact that anytime we talk about diabetes and we talk about anything that has to do with, oh, if you exercise, it could get better. They kind of imagine people who are usually big. But we do have people who are small in size and not obese, but will also suffer from such, diseases like diabetes. I know it's a myth, is it? That big bodies or those who are bigger or obese are likely to suffer from diabetes, and those who are smaller are unlikely to. Is that a myth or it is true?
Well, indeed, there's a correlation between obesity and type 2 diabetes, definitely. However, as you said, we have something we call toffee, TOFI, thin on the outside, fat from the inside.
Okay.
You see somebody very slim, yet their biomarkers will be high, their blood glucose will be high, their cholesterol will be high. So it's not just one rule. It is more likely that people who are obese stand a higher chance. However, if you are obese and you exercise, you minimize the risk. So irrespective of your body size or size or body shape, it is important that you, so that's why we are talking about healthy living.
Okay.
It's important that you put into this perspective, right? The lifestyle you live. And once you get it right, I'm sure, things will be regulated. So it's not about saying you are okay or obese, you are in trouble. Be active and that will help.
Okay. So there are family lines that already, for I don't know the exact, is it hormonal? I don't think that'll be, is it genetic? Do you have people who
So
are
we call it family history.
family history? Good. So your grandmom was diabetic, your mom was diabetic, your aunties are all diabetic. So maybe you started off, you have not yet been, diagnosed as being diabetic, but you know that there's a high chance. What would be the advice that you give to such a person who does not have diabetes but has a family line or a family history?
Okay, so yes, as you said, some of the questions you'll be asked when you get to the hospital, do you have a family history of this, that, and that? That is true. There is a correlation. However, we call something epigenetics,
Okay.
whereby through your lifestyle habits, you'll be able to suppress some of these things.
Okay.
So it's not just because maybe your family members got these as a result of their lifestyle habits.
Okay.
Are you going to do something different? Once you make that effort, there is the likelihood of you suppressing or extending what you getting whatever disease we are talking about, whatever chronic disease we are talking about. So your lifestyle is key. Once you get it right, it will minimize what your chances of getting it or delay it, the onset of the disease. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about sleep and rest. So with the influx of social media and everybody having a phone, most people are actually trading off being online instead of sleeping. And so they make it look like people have sayings like, oh, you have a lot of, years or days of sleep after death. You have to make money and all that kinds of stories. So people are not sleeping. They are awake, they are active the whole night. How is this impacting on their health practically?
You need rest, and you need about 8 hours of what? Rest.
Even in our adult state?
You need it even more.
Oh, okay.
By neglecting your self-rest, you are leading yourself to any form of what? Sickness. You can check your blood sugar if you are very tired or if you are very sleep deprived and you realize that your blood pressure, your blood sugar will go high. So sleep is something that is not negotiable. You need the required amount of what? The required amount of sleep. If you really, sleep is medicine. Sleep is refreshing. If you really want to have a long life, we have a lot of people now suffering from strokes and other things, and these are as a consequence of some of these things. We call blood pressure what the silent killer. As you said there, how would we know if your blood pressure is high?
No.
How would we know if your blood sugar is high? Yet, it can get to a point where it's going to affect you. So, getting the required amount of sleep is not negotiable.
So 8 hours.
Yeah, a minimum of 8 hours of sleep.
So in our search and quest for money, we should also pay attention to our sleep and rest. We should actually prioritize it. But once you fall down, that money is as useless as nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it's irreversible. Sometimes you can just have a heart we go make sure you are screened for all the necessary tests. And once you do that, at least you know you are doing well. But the only thing I also want to tell you is that it's not just a matter of going for the test. Why would I go for an HIV test if I know I'm promiscuous? You understand me? So we have to put a check on our lifestyles.
Okay.
Then once you are going there, you are happy. Even if there's something wrong, you know that, okay, well, could it be a false positive? Could it be something that I can work on? You always have that opportunity to at least come back to the drawing board to do something better. So go for the checkups regularly and also make sure you do the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of nutrition, so let's go back to our typical Ghanaian diet that is very, high in carbohydrate, vis-a-vis the kind of lifestyle that we have, and also the time of the day and the kind of food that we consume. So we take a lot of the people that are in the corporate, most of them through traffic, probably get home after 8 most of the time. What would you advise in terms of nutrition, especially at night? What should people take in, or what should they not attempt to take in after some time of the day?
Okay, so let me just clarify once again. I am not a nutrition expert.
Okay.
However, I can tell you that getting the right balanced diet should be fine. I hear a lot of people talking about I eat at night. It also depends on the time you sleep. However, it's always better to eat before 6 so that your body has enough time to digest before you even go and sleep. So that once you are sleeping, the process is not about digestion, which is also work for the body.
Okay.
So let's make sure we have the balanced diet, have our carbohydrates at the right proportion, the proteins, the fats, then the vitamins or micronutrients.
Yeah.
We make sure we take the fruits, then vegetables, then nuts, all those things come into play. So once you know, okay, I come home very late, is it possible to eat at work before you come home so that by the time you are in traffic, you already spend time digestion, you get home, then you'll be fine.
Okay. So exercising. Most of the time when people hear exercising, they probably say, I don't have the time to go to the gym. I don't have the time to spend walking around. Are there some basic ways to keep the body moving, especially for people who are very, time constrained or do not have the luxury of paying for a gym and do not also have the time to go doing long walks, in the evening or early morning like we see others doing? What can they do just to ensure that their body is in motion, they are moving?
So we indeed have to make the conscious effort to, find time to exercise. We have to find time. We can actually make time. Even within your room, you can exercise. You don't have to do the long walks, especially if there are security implications.
Yeah.
Over here, you can just go around, time yourself. I'm doing it for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can get a question again. So in terms of exercise, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't always have to think about going to the gym. If you have the possibility, because, gym membership is not that cheap over here.
Yeah.
You can just walk around your neighborhood. Just like if your neighborhood is risky, you can walk and we have so many modalities when it comes to exercise.
Okay.
So walking is cardiorespiratory. You still have to do your strength training. You can do some push-ups, some sit-ups, you see? So a combination of these things. And the WHO recommendation actually talks about 150 minutes to 300, moderate to vigorous physical activity.
Okay.
So it depends. If you are doing vigorous activity, then you can do about 150. And also make sure you do some muscle strengthening activities as well. So I just mentioned, you can use your body weight to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a gym, if you have a dumbbell, you can also use a dumbbell.
Okay.
And let's not also think that it's just the structured way of exercising that counts.
Okay.
People do other chores, gardening, even the women do a lot of cooking. Cooking, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, so the problem here is about movement. So you are carrying a baby, that is work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are cooking. You are washing utensils, that is work. The problem is being sedentary.
Yeah.
Because you can even be going to the gym regularly and you be considered what? An active what? Couch potato if you are not what? Breaking sedentary what? Patterns.
Oh.
So as we sit, every hour we can just take a break, walk for about 10 minutes and come back.
Okay.
Because the effects of sedentary behavior are similar to the ones of what? Smoking. You smoke and you get cancer. If you are inactive, it gets to a point where some of the cancers can take advantage.
Oh, wow.
So we just have to know that you can make time. You either make time now to prevent it or you make time to cure, to manage it.
Yeah.
Because when it gets to a point, it's not about curing anymore, but it's about what? Management.
Yeah.
So it's up to the individual to decide whether you do it consciously or you want somebody to ask you to do. Because most times you go to the hospital and irrespective of whether they give you medication or not, they will ask you to be a bit more active.
Yeah.
Depending on the condition you are suffering.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about how important, back to sleeping, that there are times that people feel sick, they go to the hospital and they run all kinds of tests and the doctor is unable to find anything. What usually causes these things? So they are sick. They are obviously, all weak, tired, walking. I know you're going to tell me you are not.
You have answered it already.
I know you're going to say that, but it happens very often. You feel you are sick, and all the tests that come says negative. They can't say you have malaria, typhoid. You have nothing, but you are sick. Your body is sick.
Okay, so you even answered the question. You knew the answer I was going to give you. That is not my domain. I'm not a medical doctor,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't go that way. There may be so many reasons why they may not find exactly what is wrong with you, but I'll tell you that is up to them to decide what stage or what they want to do next. I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
That it's even out of stress or the body is tired?
Yes, it can be.
Which happens more often?
Yes, it can be out of stress, but you have to get the right person to tell you what is wrong with you, because that is also part of solving the problem.
Okay.
When you get the wrong people telling you things, then you're getting yourself into trouble as well. So I wouldn't go that way.
Okay.
Yeah, you go, you bring me your biomarkers, the results. It's not mine. I'll look at it. Yes, there are a few things I can do. If we can check your blood sugar at home, that is fine. But the most important thing is that you go to the hospital and they run the necessary tests. Then the doctor will ask you, okay, well, you have to exercise. You have to eat well. You have to do this. Then that is where we come in to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dr. Asase, thank you. It's been very interesting. We're going to go on a very short break. But before then, I want you to remember that we are still live on all our social media platforms. Follow Trinity United Church on both Facebook and YouTube. We would love to hear you out. So send in your comments, send in your questions, and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases God. For this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Trinity United Church, let's talk about. And we are still waiting for your questions and suggestions. We are talking about lifestyle as medicine, and we have Dr. Emmanuel Asase here, who has been giving us some nuggets that are helpful for us to keep a healthy lifestyle and live better. So welcome back, Doc.
Thank you.
All right, so before we went on the break, we touched on almost all the chronic diseases that we can imagine. And so I want us to talk about blood pressure, which is also becoming a very common one in our society now. How does exercising actually affect the blood pressure?
Okay, thank you for the question. So first of all, we have blood pressure can be as a consequence of what? Or we have the essential hypertension and the secondary hypertension.
Okay.
The secondary can be as a consequence of what? An organ or something that is affecting you. It is believed that the essential is unknown.
Okay.
But then we can also relate it to what? The fact that our lifestyle has a direct what? Effect on our blood pressure.
Okay.
When you are stressed, definitely your blood pressure goes up. When you eat, let's say, salt in excess, the literature backs it that it goes up. Yes. So in terms of exercising, when you're exercising, what happens? Your blood vessels dilate.
Okay.
All right. Your heart rate also what increases, and over time, so we have the acute effect and we have the chronic effect.
Okay.
When you are exercising, all these factors, your BP goes high, your heart rate goes high. Yet, when you are done, and it even depends on what type of exercise you are doing. Are you doing strength training? Are you doing aerobic training? Irrespective of which modality, it will still go high. However, after you have exercised, what happens? It comes back to baseline or even below what it was. So my BP was 120 when I started pushing this weight. Once I'm done with it, my BP can go as low as 118/78, and that's as a result of what? The vasal dilation that took place.
Okay.
Mostly, people have their blood vessels constricted. So once you exercise, the blood will flow through. I'm exercising. That means there should be some blood flow to the feet.
Okay.
I'm doing this bicep curl. There
Yeah.
should be some blood flow to that place.
Okay.
Once you are done, definitely. And over time, you definitely see what improvement. But let me just add one thing to it. And I spoke about the modality. People who do strength training are usually stand the chance of having mild increases in what? Blood pressure.
Oh.
Yes. Whilst those who do aerobic training or those who run around, and that one affects it more positively.
Okay.
But even with the strength training, some studies have come to say that they have seen what positive effects in terms of blood pressure reduction.
Okay. So there are people that feel they can trade off sleep with exercise. And so they exercise. Because once they are exercising, it kind of re-energizes them. And so in their minds, they feel, okay, well, I can trade off. I can't sleep, but I can exercise. And it gives me the same energy. Is this right?
Well, I'm a bit confused with this question because, there should be a balance with whatever you do. Once you exercise, you also have to make sure you have adequate rest.
Okay.
We have something called overtraining or overreaching. You can overreach your limit if you are not looking at. Okay, so when you're exercising, right, your heart rate is one of the measures we look for.
Okay.
So if, let's say, we have a formula for that, just to make sure you fall within the safe ranges. We have this 220 minus your age.
Okay.
So let's say if you are 40 years, then when you are exercising, 220 minus 40 will be what? 180. You make sure you stay below the 180. That's the safe range.
Yeah.
Do you understand me?
Yeah.
And you definitely make sure you rest, because without resting, you can't even push the body that far. You can overtrain, and that can lead to what? Burnout.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to rest. Rest is also a principle of physical activity, and you have to go by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't cheat nature.
No.
So we have a question by Joseph Jemfi. He says, at what point in time can someone suffering from stomach ulcer be taken in acidic fruits like orange, or should they desist from taking such fruits? I know you are not a nutritionist, but is this a question that you would want to?
I would rather want to turn it down.
Okay.
I don't have an answer to that question.
Okay.
Because there has been so many schools here. Do you have to eat fruits before you? I don't want to go that area, so I'm afraid I can't answer that question.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to exercising. I mean, physical exercises. Okay. So you were mentioning in your previous answer that there are limits to it. So I know all the questions I want to ask would kind of come and are linked to. So we have people that go exercising, and then there are scenarios where their heartbeats just, I don't know if it should be considered as over-exercising, because we need to exercise. But when do you know the limits of your exercising? Because people get so addicted that after every given time, they are just walking the whole of Accra every day. And, when should you stop?
So I think it's just a follow-up to the previous question. We have a condition we call tachycardia, which is when your resting heart rate beats above 100.
Okay.
Right? And that happens to people who don't exercise. When you exercise in excess, if I have to put it that way, it gets to a point where you may experience palpitation. When you started exercising as a new exerciser, you can experience this. So how do you know whether you have rested enough?
Yeah.
It's by checking your resting heart rate.
Okay.
If, let's say, and I mentioned the tachycardia, we can also look at the bradycardia, which is the opposite, where your heart rate is below 60.
Okay.
And that is what mostly exercise induce, if it is not something that is pathological.
Okay.
People who train usually have very low heart rate. That means your heart doesn't have to put in so much effort to pump the blood around your body.
Okay.
And that is as a result, as I said earlier, of what? Exercising. So one of the things you have to check, you wake up in the morning, and you can even use a cell phone, download some of the apps, the heart rate monitor, or if you have a blood pressure monitor, you just wear it and check. If your heart rate is going really high, some of the blood pressure monitors even detect irregular heartbeats.
Yeah.
So the next thing you do is to consult with your doctor. The truth is that the body will not even allow you to get to certain limits. Some people, when they do that, they have what? They experience what? Sleeplessness.
Yeah.
There should be a balance. There should be an equilibrium. You exercise, you rest, you make sure you have the right nutrition, then you continue. Without that, you are rather doing yourself damage, because exercise is what? Known as a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It can help you, but at the same time, you hear people collapsing.
Yeah.
Some are unexplained, yes. Others may be congenital, right? But the best thing for you to know is to know your body. Make sure you go by the principles of what? Physical activity, which involves what? Progressive overload. You start gradually. You don't start walking like some of these health walks we do. You know, they are recipe for disaster, to be honest. You've never walked a mile before. Then all of a sudden, you are doing 20 miles. You are climbing the breathing thing. Make sure you start gradually and with time. So that's the principle of what? Physical activity, which is progressive overload. If it is weight that you are carrying, you start from the lowest, and with time, you increase. So it is so important that we understand the principles of physical activity and go by them. And also the component of fitness.
Okay.
So we have the health related, then we have what? The skill related.
Okay.
Some of the health related, we look at what? Cardiovascular endurance. We have muscular endurance, body composition. I don't know what else, flexibility.
Yeah.
Then what haven't I said? Then, so there are 5.
Yeah.
When we talk about the skill related, we talk about coordination, balance, all these things. You may not need. You may not need, but the athlete needs it.
Yeah.
So let me just go back to the health related, which is important to us. So I mentioned the body composition, flexibility, muscular endurance, muscular strength, then cardiovascular what? Endurance. So I don't know if you understand what I mean by that.
Okay.
Or you want me to break it down?
No, we have another question actually. Says, does exercise take a toll on our mental health? How does exercise affect our mental health?
Well, definitely. It depends if the positive way and the negative way.
Okay.
If you're overtraining, then it will have a negative effect. If you are not overtraining, you stay within the range, then it affects our It improves on our endocrine system, your hormones. For example, dopamine, all those feel happy hormones, adrenaline, all these things will be increased whilst you are exercising or during exercise.
Okay, all right. So you said the feel happy hormone. What does it do?
So,
well, yeah, we have viewers. Anytime you use a technical word, I may come out as not knowing, because we have a very wide audience. So there are some people who have never heard, feel good hormone. Like, what does that mean?
So that it's just as you are exercising, what happens? I mentioned the endocrine system.
Yes.
So it is one of the systems that we take for granted. You may feel sad.
Okay.
What makes you feel sad? Something will trigger, and your emotions will be affected.
Okay.
I start running. Once I start running, what happens? The body will say, okay, you need this. That's the stress hormone.
Okay.
Cortisol will come up. You get to a point, you are exercising, you are doing other physical activities, then the dopamine will also manifest.
Okay.
Then by the time you realize, okay, I'm feeling okay
better
after the exercise.
Okay.
Whilst previously you were stressed.
Yeah.
And remember that conditions like diabetes, when you have high blood sugar, it can lead to depression. It can lead to so many conditions that you'll not be happy But once you exercise, remember that we said when you are exercising, you use what?
Energy.
You use energy in the form of glucose.
Yeah.
So you may, it's not like once you exercise, the glucose level will come down. It's not like, sometimes it may go up depending on the glycogen stores.
Okay.
Because there are times that you have extra in your liver. So once you're exercising, what happens? It goes up. But after some time, you see that the effect will be what? Positive.
Okay.
I needed it.
So we have another question from Kate. I hope I got the name right. What's the difference between fat loss and weight loss?
So I think it's self-explanatory. Fat loss, I want to believe that what you are losing is just fat. But weight loss may not necessarily be fat, but can affect muscle as well. But what you need to lose, and let's be careful, it's not always that you need to lose what? Fat. It's not always, but the body also uses fat. So it depends on the required amount of fat. So if you are exercising, you should know whether the exercise has an effect on what? Fat what?
Burning or fat loss.
Or you are rather losing what? Muscle as a consequence.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this will mean that there might be particular exercises that are focused on burning fat and not necessarily...
So let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Okay. The body is very dynamic. As we are seated over here, if your body is efficient, right, you'll be using what? Fat.
Yeah.
Once we start doing an activity, we will move into what? Using what? Carbohydrates. You get to a point where you may deplete off the carbohydrate in the system, then you start tapping into the fat.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where if you are running a marathon or something, you deplete off the fat, then sometimes it will get into what? Protein. So it depends on what exactly you are doing, what your exercise goals are. Let's say you are running or walking for 45 minutes, definitely you tap into the fat. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
You tap. So in cases where when you are seated or when you are sedentary, you are rather using what? Carbohydrate, that means your body is inefficient. And it may be as a result of what? Your lifestyle. So I'll be munching on carbohydrates. So it is always available in the system for the body to use.
Okay.
But once you have some level of control in terms of what your eating habits, then your exercise as well, then your body will start tapping into what? That's why people, and I'm not here to talk about keto or any other fat diet, because I rather believe in what? Moderation.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, fat loss is when you are losing just fat, yeah, then with the muscle that's in, that means you are tapping into the muscle.
Okay, and that will affect the weight.
And both, either you are losing fat or muscle, but it's not right to lose muscle. Yeah, it's not right to lose muscle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You lose the right amount of what? Fat, because you still need fat, because the body uses fat as well.
All right. So we have another question by Misty. Is it true some strenuous exercises can lead men to developing hernia? Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Well, it depends on your posture
Okay.
and what you do. If you are, let's say, lifting heavy weights, that's why you have to protect yourself by wearing what? The safety belt.
Okay.
So if you are doing the right thing, then you have no reason. And make sure you don't just go carrying something that you cannot carry. So it's a matter of what? Safety, the thing here. If you do the right thing, then you don't have a reason to. You know you are going to do some deadlift, make sure. And don't go carrying weights that you know you can't carry. So, yeah, that is it.
Okay. So we have a question by Abna. Is it true that people who exercise a lot or take part in sports, that's both men and women, end up later in life with low heart rate? Is that a normal condition? If yes, does it mean we should not exercise?
I think that's what we spoke about. You know what? It is when you are exercising, that you get that bradycardia that I mentioned, that low heart rate as a result of what? Exercising. But once you are done with exercising, it doesn't mean
It remains there.
it remains that. But we also advise that you don't just stop exercising. Exercise is a lifestyle, and you have to, even the sportsmen, we advise them that they don't just stop abruptly because your body is used to that aggression and you have to maintain it. I'm not saying if you are doing, let's say, if you are carrying heavy weight, you still have to carry heavy weight. No. If you are doing a marathon, you still have to, no. But definitely you have to be active. And having bradycardia or low heart rate is not necessarily a problem if it is exercise what induced.
Okay.
That means the heart is relaxed and does its function efficiently.
Okay. Another question by Anne. Should I skip cardio if I want to increase muscle mass? Should they skip cardio?
If they want to, I don't think you have to skip cardio. You have to do everything in moderation.
Okay.
You don't have to skip cardio because also what I think I mentioned what the 5 components of health-related fitness, and you make sure you have a balance with this. So cardiorespiratory fitness, that is the cardio. Muscular endurance, that will improve on your what? Muscular
mass.
strength. Yeah. So you make sure you have a balance of this. And by doing that, it will affect your body composition. Yeah.
Okay. A question by Amachi. Can you exercise strength training on an empty stomach? So can you exercise strength training on an empty stomach? Well,
Is there anything as an empty stomach?
well, you are hungry. You've not eaten for a day.
Was he fasting?
Most likely.
So your body always has some reserves.
Okay.
So it depends on what you mean by empty stomach. I don't know if you've been fasting for 30 days.
Maybe taking part in some 30-day dry fasting.
One has to be careful. Or is it like waking up and not taking breakfast and you want to exercise? If that's the case, then you don't have a problem. Right?
Okay.
It's a matter of preference.
Okay.
Yeah, some people would want to eat before they exercise. Others would want to exercise on an empty stomach. You can go either ways, whichever works for you. But if you are taking in before the exercise, then make sure you've given yourself enough time for the body to do what? To digest.
Okay.
I have seen cases where people will just eat and they start doing. If it doesn't affect you, fair enough. But in reality, the body takes time to what? Digest, and it depends on what exactly you took. If you're taking protein and it's not in a liquid form, then it will take a bit longer for you to exercise. So exercising on an empty stomach, if it is not because you were fasting, it's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So when you were answering one of the previous questions, you talked about gradually maybe weaning yourself off exercise if you decide to do so. And then I remember that there are a lot of people who actually are scared to start exercising because they feel once they start, they may be going well, but once they stop, whatever weight they lost, they gain it back. What actually causes this? What happens?
So we spoke about the energy balance or theory. Exercise is not like money where you put it in the bank and it stays there. Once you stop exercising, let's say if you were doing cardiovascular training, once you stop exercising, you start losing the effect in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. With strength training, you start losing the effects in even a week. So I was carrying 150 kilos and I decided to stop in 10 days. By the time I come back, I may not be able to carry what I was carrying. I have to start from somewhere to get to where I got to. So yes, it doesn't have that carry-on effect. You have to make sure you continue. It has to be a lifestyle. Yeah. It's just like taking medication. You wouldn't say that if you are taking a chronic illness medication, you wouldn't say I'm leaving it. No. So it has to be part of you. It has to be a part of you.
Okay. Since you spoke about chronic illness and medication, there are people that try to substitute the medication that they take for chronic illness with, example, exercising. And so they say, well, I'm afraid of the effect of whatever medication I am on, so I'm going to go off it and exercise. What advice do you have for such people?
Well, the only person who can ask you to stop taking your medication is your physician. Exercise is complementary.
Okay.
So depending on whatever sickness you have, you don't just say, no, I'll stop taking my BP medication. I think you have to go for a review and a doctor will tell you, okay, well, you are doing well. Let me minimize the dosage. But you can't just stand up and say, oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm exercising. I'm not going to do what? I'm not going to take my medication because that is very dangerous.
Yeah.
You can die as a result of that. And in terms of the side effects, you have so many questions to ask, and we the men are the ones who suffer the most. It's a matter of choice. Do you want to stay alive because you're taking your medication, or you want to just neglect it because of the side effect and die? So these are choices we make. The good thing is that even with the side effects, if you control your lifestyle habits to minimize what the effects. So it's a matter of what? Having the right balance. And you get to a point where if the physician thinks that you have to go off the medication, then you go off. But make sure you keep up with the lifestyle.
Okay. So Kofi wants to know if what are Kegel exercises?
What?
Is it Kegel
Yeah.
exercises and its benefits to us?
Well, I have also read a lot that it is good for this thing, prostate health and other this thing. Yeah, so that's what I know about. But just like any other exercise, it will have what cardiovascular benefits. It will have it will minimize your stress level. There are so many things. So yeah, but I know specifically that it helps with regulating the pelvic floor and other things.
Yeah. All right. I think usually when women are pregnant, I hear them talk a lot about this exercise in preparation for labor. So Hamza is asking if exercises affect our libido.
Definitely. You know what? Once you are exercising, it increases your level of testosterone, both in male and female. So it will definitely affect your libido. And anything that minimizes your blood sugar, because remember that the effects of diabetes are affect your libido and other things. So once you are doing something that will minimize your blood sugar, so exercise indeed is medicine. It's medicine. However, we have to make sure that we combine it with other things to make sure. So it's not just exercising, but what you eat and others. They complement each other.
Okay.
Then even medication, when you have to take medication, you don't say, I'm not taking my medication if you've not been asked to.
All right. So we are almost at the end of today's discussion, but I want you to give your very final words to our audience. What would you advise them to do as a form of lifestyle so that they will live a very healthy and long life?
Okay, so what I want to tell my audience is that once we are born, it's a fight for survival. We've gotten to a point in life where it looks like we have so much in abundance, and these things are affecting us. So we have to be a bit selective on what we do in terms of what we eat. Make sure we minimize what's sitting. Make sure we hydrate enough. I don't think we spoke about hydration. Make sure we hydrate enough. Make sure we have we make time for exercise, and by doing this, minimize stress.
Yeah.
I think some of the things you can do with stress, meditation, yoga, some of these things. And once you do these things religiously, then also I think I'm doing this in a church, so I have to also bring in the fact that what our faith also affects us one way or the other. So you pray, that also affects you positively. Yeah. So once we do most of these things, then we are assured that we are in control of our lives. But we shouldn't forget there are accidents. So let's make sure we also minimize what the exposures when it comes to some of these things. So once we get these things done, then we will die. But we want to improve on our quality of life and improve on our longevity eventually. So that is what I want to tell my audience.
Thank you so much. Viewers, it's been another interesting time here on Let's Talk About. We want to say a very big thank you to our guest, Dr. Emmanuel Asase, for making time to join us to discuss today's topic. Join us same time next week for another interesting and engaging topic. I have been your host. My name is Edinam Ejay Sika. Remember, your health is your wealth. Have a good evening.